Hello and welcome to Table Takes. My name is Marcus Mays and I am joined by four lovely people. But let's not get to them right away. Let's talk about what this show is. This is Table Takes on Gen Con TV. This is your number one source and stop for the coolest bits of gaming news, crowdfunders. And it's so cool that Javion just took off. This rules. But like we are here on Table Takes and we are here to tell you some cool things that we have and we've seen and we're really excited to do this. But before we do that, let's get to know our hosts a little bit better. Let's start. Bonsai, what have you been up to?
Very, very cool things. Got to hang out with a lot of my friends in person. I would show you the shoes I am working on, but they are currently drying because they are my gelatinous cube shoes, and I finally got to the point where I'm putting a flexi, like it's like a material to make it look gooey. That also makes the shoes waterproof? Question mark? Sure. But it makes it look gooey. So they're drying right now. So I would show you that. I also got some Halloween nails done. Look at that. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah. Halloween
That looks
nails.
great, Bonsai. So these
Yeah.
those so the were those the shoes you were showing us like your early drafts of when you were working on them, the Gooey Cube shoes?
Yeah,
Ooh,
I've already put all the people, what is it called? All the skulls and stuff. What is it called? It's supposed to be gelatinous cube. It has skulls, treasure, all the accoutrements that poor adventurers would get eaten up by in it. And I made one red and one green. They're just gooeyifying it now. So I'll show you that later.
awesome.
But yeah.
That is great. I am going to. I definitely am going to hold you to that. I want to see more of that as soon as it is dry. But let's check on what is going on with Noir right now. Noir, what are you about to do? You are muted, Noir, but that's okay. Javion has unfortunately dropped the call, so the cameras are already messed up anyway. So we can see only a portion of you, but it is a beautiful portion, and now they can hear you. So why don't you hop in there and try to talk now, Noir? Is also unavailable. So everyone, hey, this is Table Takes. This is my favorite picture of Javion up on the screen. You can see he's been frozen for a while. Javion's like this. Bonzo was trying to tell us what was happening, and I've been laughing specifically at Javion's frozen face up here. I don't know what to do with it. It's kind of incredible to me. We might need to go to a be right back screen for a moment. But thank you so much for holding on with us. Hold on loosely, but don't let go. We'll be right back after solving our technical limitations. Javion, turn into a camera. No! One. And thank you so much, and welcome back to Table Takes. We had a few technical hiccups, but as you can see, we are all here. We are all dressed up in our various festive accoutrements, and we are going to check in with Noir, who sources have told me is actually audible this time around. Noir.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh God!
No,
Mm.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Hey everybody. I haven't been up to too terribly much. You can see in the background I've got my 3 painted skulls. They're still drying right now. I'm just gonna have them for, like, you know how you have like coins and stuff all over. Just little catch-alls in different rooms. Other than that, I've just been GMing with Start Playing Games. And I got a really dumb pair of glasses for $2 that lets me go full anime. Or at least in theory it does.
Oh my gosh, where did you get
That's
those?
so
And
cool.
I need those. Oh, I want red. I want red ones too. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Where did you get those? Can you give me those? Can you send those to
Send
me
me
right
the
now?
link.
Yeah, please. We all need the link.
Yeah, I'll send you all the link. I got mine for $2 on TikTok, but I think you can find them on Amazon too.
Oh, I love
You
that.
know.
That is awesome, Noir. It is great to hear of not only that you're doing well, but that you have accomplished your dream of being an anime glasses guy. I fully
Yeah.
support this. I am on board with this. Please let us know that link ASAP. Now let's touch base with Javion, who is either dressed like the Hitcher from the movie The Hitcher, or maybe some kind of Jedi, or possibly the evil Kermit from the second Muppets movie. Evil Kermit. I don't remember what his name is. Russian Kermit. I don't know. Javion, why don't you?
Russian Kermit.
His name was Russian. He was. I don't know. Talk to Brian Henson about that.
I didn't know there's a Russian Kermit. That sounds funny. Also, I didn't know there's a Hitch movie other than the Will Smith one. That's the only one I remember. And I thought that one was canceled now. Um, I've been up to absolutely nothing good. I had my shoes stolen from me at work yesterday, so I had to have my friend take me home barefoot. That was fun. I'm very excited for Halloween, as you can see. I'm already getting my costume ready. I'm thinking either Green Arrow or Robin Hood, because my boyfriend really wants to do Little John, so we're probably gonna go that route. Oh, and I'm setting up a fun little D&D one shot for all my friends and folks who are going to be at Cannonball, this big party in Florida later on for Halloween. And they wanted to be spooky themed. So my plan is to have this villain who feeds off of sin. So every time they commit crimes, it gets stronger.
I love the sound of that. I truly do, Javion. That sounds like a great both costume idea and a plan for your gaming session down the line.
Thanks.
That is awesome. So it's wonderful catching up with the hosts. Now let us actually hop into the headlines. There are no more technical issues. We are going to hop into the headlines, and there's going to be nothing going wrong. Do you hear me? Because we have some really cool news about some people getting some credit that they normally don't get through an award situation. That's a great introduction. I did not say that very well, but Javion's going to take this from me and make it good. So thank you, Javion. Please make it good for my sake.
You got it. This article comes to us from Mike Didymus True of Board Game Wire, and it's all about the Zenobia Award 2. What happened in Zenobia Award 1, you ask? Zenobia Awards were actually sort of an experimental thing set up by some pretty big names in order to highlight people of color and the LGBTQ community in tabletop gaming. They are looking for a very specific niche. It looks like they're specifically trying to focus on aspects of human history covering political, social, cultural, scientific, economic, and military affairs from our past, recent or otherwise. So we saw a bunch of different games back in 2021 get nominated. Molly House by Joe Kelly and Cole Worley. We've got Publish or Perish by Winye Kause of WizKids. Publish or Perish, Winye Kause by Allison Collins of WizKids, and Cartini from Darkness to Light. Actually, one of the winners, the actual winner of 2021, over here, Akar Bharadwaj, I believe, uh, with their game Tyranny of Blood is all about the caste system in India, is actually leading the process. Imagine you won an award and they're like, okay, great. So you have to take over now and you have to run the whole thing for the next time we do this in 3 years. And just be like, okay, talk about passing the torch, right? So yeah, those big names I was talking about that put on this award this year, it's actually going to be a car, as well as board game geek writer Candice Harris, coin series designer Volko Runke, and one of the lead designers for Netrunner, Damon Stone. They all have a bunch to say about how they're really excited for this year. All the finalists and nominees have until October 15th to make sure their prototypes are polished and ready to go for the Zenobia judges. And so that means we don't have a lot of time, and we might even see all of the games or the announcement of the winner for the top three in November. So let's take a look at just some of the nominees. There are quite a few of them, so I'm not going to cover them all. But we've got one recent one set in the 2010s called Silencio by Luis M. Salas. It's set in a Mexican community during a terrible wave of violence with victims struggling to survive. The oldest one that I've seen here is set in sometime between 750 and 1258, before we had the 2000s, right? House of Wisdom by Fagner Lima da Silva. It's about Abbasid Baghdad hosting scholars who study, copy, and translate works of mathematics, philosophy, cartography, astronomy, physics. There's a lot of different genres that you're going to be playing through here. So I'm excited to see if that one wins. I've also seen one here called The Pursuit of Aguinaldo by Nicanor Marco P. Valdez. As the Philippine president evades capture by U.S. forces in Luzon, his outgunned army mounts a defensive campaign. Will growing U.S. anti-imperialist sentiment end the war, or will Aguinaldo be captured first? I feel somewhat ominous reading all of that while wearing all of this, and you can't even see my eyes. I promise, I have no bad intentions. This game is set in 1899 through 1902. It's like 3 years of gaming. If you've played any of the coin games, you know you got to have an expert of longer, more historically accurate games there to judge. So I'm glad that they have brought somebody on like that. I don't know if you guys saw any of the different games that are on offer here, but what do you think of an award show specifically for historically accurate games?
I like it, just because my partner is a big war or like just a history nerd himself, and I like every new area. I like going to some type of museum or history like site whenever I go visit a place. So there is so much to the world's history that a lot of people don't know of, and I like that it's not like, especially from someone who's grew up in a Western U.S. educational system, that they can branch out and you get to know a little bit more about people, a little bit more about how, like, how some of the struggles made and create the culture that lives there today. And it just kind of like builds empathy in my suggestion. And then hopefully maybe we'll gamify us not being ignorant Americans to everybody else in the world.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. Looking through here, there's some like really cool, like Sabotage the Raj, where a colonial Bengal secret revolutionaries plot against the British. Can they grow their networks, set hideouts, and get weapons? This is really interesting stuff. Like Bonsai was saying, like being able to contextualize some of these, gamify it, as you said, like is actually an interesting way to get people to kind of engage with this time of history, especially in a history that might not be theirs or might not be shared. That's awesome. I love this. This is really cool. Javion, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention.
Yeah, look forward to November when we get some more details about the nominees and the finalists.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll make sure to let everyone know what happens there. But next up, we have some more information, touching base on what we covered last week involving the Magic the Gathering Commander bans and various things happening. There's some updates here, and they're less than positive. Noir, would you like to take us through these?
Yes, so Magic the Gathering Commander Volunteer Council has been ousted by alleged violent threats. Alleged threats over banned cards in Commander, Magic the Gathering's most popular mode of play, have driven its governing body to relinquish control of the format. Going forward, publisher Wizards of the Coast will itself be wholly responsible for Commander, which had previously been managed by the 5 members all volunteer Commander Rules Committee. The announcement was made Monday in the separate statements by the Commander's Rule Committees and Wizards of the Coast. The Rule Committee is quoted as saying that as a result of the threats last week against the RC members, it has become impossible for us to continue operating as an independent entity. Given that we have asked WotC to assume responsibility for Commander, and they will be making decisions and announcements going forward. So this is an unfortunate event in which fans have through through misbehaving have inadvertently given WotC more control over something that the community has made. This all again comes because in the last few weeks, 4 cards have been banned from Commander: Dockside Extortionist, Jeweled Lotus, Mana Crypt, Non-Dude, Winged Wisdom. Many in the Magic community lamented the massive change their loss would bring to the format's meta strategies, while others noted that millions of dollars in cards have suddenly lost most, if not all, of their potential value on the secondary market. So, there are ways to deliver feedback, and those ways should never include threats, especially in regards to a card game. But that's just my opinion. Do you guys have any thoughts on it?
It is always important for an audience to be able to be vocal about what they want and what they're interested in. But like you mentioned, there's also a way to do it. And this is not any kind of constructive tool. This wasn't used to let people know that they're mad. This was actually used to directly target and harass people that they felt were solely responsible for this loss of sure, a loss of money. It's also like, I can't stress this enough. Like, for me, this is a card game. This is
Yeah.
what it affects is such a small percentage of the people who play the card game. It still does affect people. I'm not trying to diminish that. It does affect people's cards, does affect the value, but it is actually not that. I don't imagine that they were going to be the Jeweled Lotus card was going to be like a huge resale value. It just means you cannot play them in. I'm not wrong. Am I wrong about this? It just means you cannot play them in competitive Commander settings in actual league ruled tournaments. It doesn't mean you can
Correct.
never use this game in a house play. It doesn't mean you can never use this game when you play your friends. I don't play in tournaments. I play on Arena. That's how I do it. So this would not affect me in any way. So it's fascinating to me that they use this as a way to literally wedge a hole in the community and then push this over. Unfortunately, pushes this over to Wizards of the Coast, who now has more say in the thing that they fully control and have been pretty. I would say Magic. I think it's safe to say the nicest thing I could say and way to word this is Wizards of the Coast has been fairly abusive in the last year or so with their audience, with the OGL stuff, and pretty much every other month I feel like we get a new thing that Wizards of the Coast has done, whether it be layoffs or mismanaging of Baldur's Gate 3 and their other. So like this makes me angry. Don't treat people like this. You can treat companies like this. Do not treat people like this. If you're not better than this, maybe just shut up. And that's my official stance. Anyone else?
Yeah. I think for me, it's also, is it really the people that are part of the fandom at doing this, or is this bad actors just greedy for money
Usually
that is really putting in this hate? And it's also like, I don't know, it feels like there's just a lot of bad actors who are just getting into the card community for the money reasons that are doing this, versus like people who are very passionate. Greed can be a big effect. Also, just being online and kind of having that separation that people have between not realizing that people are people on the other side. And they're like, there's one thing to go after corporations because they're like, a conglomerate like thing. But if you pick out individuals and then just like bombard them, it's really ugly, and I don't like seeing this in the gaming community, and it makes me sad because because now it's gonna take away like more fan-based opinion pieces. Like people are just like, oh no, people are gonna be unreasonable, so we won't give them the choice to give feedback. And it just takes it more out of the fandom's hands, and it's a really ugly thing to see.
Yeah.
We will keep you up to date on any more information we have on this. Hopefully, this is the end of it, and but you know we will keep you informed. Thank you so much, Noir, for bringing this to our attention. Next up, we have some interesting news about some cool things, or some strange things, I'll say, just based off of the brief I got on this from Javion. Some strange things happening in Spiel Essen. Javion, I know I might have said that incorrectly. Could you correct me for the viewers?
Spiel Eschen.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, of course. Spiel Eschen is going on, and the folks over at Board Game Geek, of course, are there reporting live from the floor, telling us all about all of the game design, innovations, all of the sneak previews. And one article in particular stood out to me. This one's written by W. Eric Martin, and it's all about Devere Games. They have a huge lineup of games for 2025 that they wanted to show off on the show floor. There are a ton on this list. I can't get to all of them. I just picked out a few. Definitely check out the link in Twitch chat if you want to check it out for yourself as well. The first one up here is called Transgalactica. The Galactic Senate has launched the Transgalactica Decree in order to increase their knowledge and influence beyond the already well-known fringes of the galaxy. It's exactly what it sounds like. It is a game all about outer space and weird magics. So it's a worker placement and engine building game. It's all about trying to travel across the galaxy, make your fleet as good as you can, collect a bunch of resources. What could possibly go wrong? They also have a bunch of political intrigue elements to it, with the Galactic Senate getting involved. And it's a game played in 5 rounds, and each round you get a bunch of action. So it's looking to be one of those, I wouldn't say small box. It's definitely not going to be a small box game. For any of these different games you see on the list here, everything is up in the air. Nothing is final. They might change the art. They might even change the names. They might even change the whole game entirely, which is what I hope they do with this next one called Fritos. Sounds fun, right? Sounds like a game about a name brand chip from Frito-Lay. Sounds fun. It's a 2 to 7 player game that was announced, but it's supposed to have been released back in 2023, actually. It's horrifying to look at. If you take a look, there are these creatures who have that same art style from way back when. You can see like sort of Cuphead cartoons, you know? And all of them are absolutely terrified, fighting for their life, trying not to get fried alive. And you play as those creatures or food items. It's a free-for-all game mode that it can play 2 to 6 players. You can play the semi-co-op version for 3 to 7, where one person plays the chef who's trying to cook everybody. This looks maddening. I'm terrified already. There's not a lot of details about the actual gameplay of the game, but basically you're jumping around from the fryer grids, trying not to get crisped. So that's already horrifying, and I can't wait to move on from this to something else. So the next one I got here is called Ace of Spades. It's a co-op game for 1 to 2 players, and you are trying to face off against Lord Killmister. That's right, Killmister. It's a supernatural being who wants you dead. So it's very Western themed. It's playing cards, and you're trying to use sleight of hand and magic. Imagine if Gambit had his own card game. Well, Devere wants to bring that out and has his own villain, I guess, as well. So if you like 2-player games, if you like co-op games, this one might be one to look out for. I'm going to skip a few of them and go down to my last one here. Tentatively named Covenant. This Devere game is all about dwarves. You are trying to return to a mountain which you were once cast out from. Playing over 3 ages, you're assigning dwarves to different tasks. So it's a worker placement game, basically. Trying to rebuild your ancestral home. I've seen a lot of dwarven games that rely on tile placement, mostly because of all that digging and the layers and the who knows what's underneath, that kind of thing. So I'm sure we'll see a lot of that. Your dwarf tokens and tools will allow you to do all kinds of things, digging into the mountain, defeating enemies that are inside, and building lots of buildings to bring your legendary dwarf city back to life. Sounds cute. I love dwarves, and I love a game that gives us a little bit more of a focus on them, because who doesn't like dwarves, right? Tiny little bearded folk. Very cute. I can't wait. There's a bunch more on this list. Like I said, feel free to peruse for yourself. I can't wait to see all the other stuff that's coming out of Spiel Eschen. God, I wish I was there right now. I'm sure there's like so many different games that you couldn't normally get access to that you're available to see. Games with new expansions and demos and Kickstarter exclusives. It's like a mini Gen Con, really. Okay, well, to be fair, it's probably bigger than Gen Con because I mean it's overseas, you know. Okay, so there you go. That's all I got for you for now. I hope you guys heard something you like.
We gotta find a way to get a Table Takes correspondent over next year, all the way to Europe next year for this next event.
All right,
Fine, I'll
guys,
do
you
it.
can fly
I'll
me
do
to
it.
You can fly me to Europe. I'll do
Oh,
it.
you
I will
twisted
figure
my
it out,
arm.
you know.
Okay, geez, let me get my passport.
So we'll talk about that maybe a little bit later. But next up, we have some. I'm actually interested. We'll keep touching base with what's happening at Spiel Essen. Sorry, JV, can you say it one more time for me?
Spiel Essen.
Thank you so much.
Eh.
We'll keep
Eh.
we'll keep an eye on what's going on there and make sure to keep you in the know. Next up, though, we have Noir. I'm just gonna. I have no transition for this. I just want you to tell me what we have because I trust you, Noir. I trust you.
You trust me? Well,
Oh,
okay, then here I'm gonna take care of you. We got Baldur's Gate 3 minis coming from WizKids. We're introducing the cast of Baldur's Gate 3 to your next tabletop campaign with WizKids' new collection of miniatures. As part of the Icons of the Realm lineup, the new $49.99 character box set includes 7 pre-painted minis of Asterion, Karlach, Gale, Shadowheart, Will, Lae'zel, and Best Party Planner Withers. The new collection doesn't launch until next year, but you can reserve a box now exclusively from WizKids storefront. Now, I am sorry for all the animal lovers there, but there won't be any Halcyon or Minithara or Jaheira or Minsk just yet. But I'm pretty sure if they get enough pre-orders on this first box, we could probably expect a second box. So, if you need more Baldur's Gate in your life, which how there's so much of it, now you can get these figures.
That's awesome. I want the Karlach one. I'm a Karlach guy all the way through.
I just want Karlach to give me the final uppy. I just want to be
the one that you'll never return from, the ultimate uppy.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to live in this body anymore after I've been picked up by Karlach.
That is 100% fair. Have we all played Baldur's Gate 3 here? Okay.
Yeah, I dabbled a little bit.
Okay.
I didn't play long enough to find that bear that you can, I guess romance is the polite way of saying it.
Oh no, it's a druid that you can romance. And yeah.
Yeah, you guys are talking about all the love quests. You need to talk about the owl bear and the dog that you can adopt in the game.
What's the dog's name, Bonsai? What's the dog's name? Do you remember it? It's like Checkers or
Oh
something
god,
like that.
I forgot
It's
it.
Scratch.
Actually, it's Scratch.
Thank you. Perfect, Noir. No, I this is awesome. This is great. Hopefully we will get the bear miniatures out of this, but yeah, this is neat. Anyone else have anything to say about Baldur's Gate, or so stop talking, or your soul? I don't know. I don't know any of that stuff. So next up, I would like to talk about my article. This is coming from Alex Meehan of TableTakes. She brought us this wonderful piece of news about the studio behind Legend of Vox Machina and Big Mouth. They're working on a game together. So Titmouse Animation, the studio behind the likes of Legend of Vox Machina and Big Mouth, is adventuring into the tabletop gaming world with a new role-playing game called Drunkers, Druggies, and Delinquents. Set to see a crowdfunding campaign launch on BackerKit next week, Drunkards, Druggies, and Delinquents, or D&D for short, looks to be twisting the classic RPG adventuring formula by having its players make themselves more and more inebriated as they play. Now, when it comes to D&D, players will need to be imbibe if they want to ensure to survive their RPG character. Though, of course, the players can choose to not consume alcohol if they want to, but the idea is booze. Players will have a selection of pre-made character types to choose from, each theming around an iconic fantasy character with a debauched twist, you know. For example, the Druid of Flowers' primary attack is called Reefer Madness, a unique trait offering their allies a hit so they can receive a status buff. Should any character be forced to take damage during a game of D&D, the player will have to consume some of their substance of choice. This way, the players have to pick their characters wisely and engage in really good social cooperation before either their characters lose their lives or everyone gets too drunk to play D&D, which is essentially the goal of D&D is to see how far you can get your characters before all the players tap out. Now, this is something I got to say. You need a patient GM for this if you're going to do this. This game is co-created by Chris Pranowski, the producer and director of such shows as Downtown and Nerdland, and the creator of Titmouse Animation, Alexei Bolchanek. This is pretty interesting. I am excited to see how this actually goes. Mostly on October 8th is when the crowdfunder BackerKit launches, but I'm pretty excited to see any actual plays of this. I want to see how this actually rolls. This is going to be... this sounds like a stressful nightmare to me. Does anyone else? Am I just 36? Is that like? Am I just old? Is that why? Like
No.
this sounds normally okay. So what are your thoughts on this? On a game where when you take as someone who takes a lot of damage in RPGs, I feel like this is gonna go bad for me.
I am one of those weird guys that actually is like suggesting the drinking game whenever I go out to like parties or gatherings or like big events and stuff like that. So I like the idea of this as a one shot. Doing this over a longer campaign, maybe not. Maybe that is how we've actually formed bad habits.
Yeah, everyone show up
Yeah.
and get blacked out. Yeah.
No, that just sounds like a bad time to me. I mean, to be fair, when I was younger, we had a gaming group that played above a bar, but all we really got from the bar was like pizza and like these giant brookie cookie ice cream plays, and we didn't really like drink that much beer, maybe because we were just kind of lame nerds. But I just feel like I wouldn't have fun as a GM trying to be the one because you got like this may be fun if you're doing something that isn't like doesn't require you to take a lot of things, like maybe playing like what is it called underlings or some one shot like Javion was saying. Like this is definitely a one shot, but I would not be friends with people who every time we played Dungeons and Dragons we got sick and blackout drunk or like some kind of way where it was just it's a good one off if you're playing a silly one shot. But also, I kind of don't like the idea of promoting unhealthiness like this, I guess, for more than one. But,
I
yeah.
I think this is definitely a game that will require some self-awareness. If you know that you're a fighty drunk, maybe sit this one out. You know, if you're a cryy drunk, I insist that you play. But, and if you're a dancy drunk, let's just see what happens. But
That
like,
sounds great. Yeah.
but it's essentially just kind of be aware of what a substance will do to you, so long as that substance is legal and you're among friends. Just be safe with it, protect yourself, and as always, protect your table.
And remember, you also don't have to drink. If people are pressuring you to drink in this game, the rules specifically say you do not need to drink. So it's D&D. You'll need a designated driver or a D&D for D&D. There's too many D's there, so I am going to move on to something more interesting. maybe not more interesting, but something that has definitely piqued the interest of Noir for the last couple of weeks related to some
Yes,
cool
brother.
games and other media. So Noir, please take me into this.
For the Emperor. Sorry, I just had to get that out of the way right off the top. Cubicle 7 has revealed Dark Tide, the card game, a new Warhammer 40K card game, which is going to hit stores Q2 2025. Dark Tide, the card game, is a cooperative card game based on the Warhammer 40K Dark Tide video game that was developed by Fat Shark. In the card game, players are going to work together to eliminate the heresy deep within the Imperial Hive. They will battle waves of enemies over the course of 6 mission campaigns, which can be scaled via the game's different game modes. This is just Warhammer 40K spreading, and I love it. It's got such a rich, deep, wonderful lore and history that making it more accessible to people is clearly the way to go. As Marcus kind of alluded to, I've been interested in watching Warhammer in particular because it feels very much like they saw what happened with Baldur's Gate and have been recreating that. They just launched Space Marine. I want to say it maybe at most a month and a half ago. It's been doing really well, getting a lot of people that start asking questions about 40K, and they've just been pumping out more and more 40K in different media. So you're getting, more 40K books, more 40K audiobooks, card games, a kill team package. So if you want to try traditional 40K, you can do it for less money, still a lot of money, but for less. I think this is a winning strategy, and I hope that it's something that more of these tabletop companies do, which is to really focus on spreading out and delivering good quality uh products in different mediums to get people interested in what brought them there in the first place. So I'm very excited about this. If you like card games and you like 40K and you want to be the tip of the spear for the Emperor, you're gonna want to pick this up.
Yeah, it seems like 40K fans are eating really well right now.
Oh, we eat good, baby. We eat good.
So much, and like you mentioned, like I think this is like I agree. This is a great strategy to get people into this. We have long lost out on when Derek left the show years ago, and he was pretty much the number one. Like we got to talk about 40K, the only one pushing for 40K. So now we have Noir, who can bring us up to date on all of this interesting news. Because the more I am learning about this, especially this last year, there's been so much in the news about 40K. So now and they finally made a video game, or they made it. Was Marine 2, Space Marine 2?
Space Marine 2.
Yeah,
So Space Marine was a sleeper hit, and they just worked out all the kinks. And Space Marine 2 is just so good.
And honestly, that's how you get me. Like I like games. I like a lot of different things, and sometimes I just need to see it in a different form. So the video game might be something that can actually hook me in that medium. Like that's happened before. I stand by this. Until I played in D&D Beyond, I didn't really like D&D and understand how it worked. So just a different way to feed that to me will get me hooked in a dip. So I am curious. Thank you, Noir, for bringing this to our attention. Bonsai.
Yes.
I think it's your time to shine.
My time to shine. It's best be a discussion time.
Take us through it, Bonsai. What are we discussing today?
Well, a couple weeks ago, we talked about tabletop games that we love to see in film or TV. Like maybe Henry Cavill should have finished the Warhammer 40K TV series, but we're not going to talk about that. But this time, we're going to go ahead and flip that idea and the discussion on what games are so good that even if they didn't have this particular IP, their mechanics and gameplay would just stand out on their own. Like, or also which which board game that took an IP from a TV or film really captured the feeling or the spirit of the original property that fits it best. So, for example, of games that I think that could be a standalone game even without the IP would be one of the top: Doom Imperium, War of the Rings, Star Wars Imperial Assault. Just kind of like the ones that I think. Just to answer the first question, I'll go ahead and I'll let you guys jump in on what games that, like, if you took the IP or just made it kind of like generic, kind of similar, but not close to the IP, like, just skirting the copyright laws, uh, like, would be its own cool standalone game.
Well, I definitely have seen and talked about Unmatched and how they literally steal everything. It's one of the multiverse kind of style things where they take a little bit from everywhere and then they just dump it all in as long as there's no like unless they get permission for it, which is mostly the copyright free stuff. But then they like dipped into Marvel recently. Dice Throne did the same thing. I feel like okay, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I feel like Marvel and Disney things get used a lot in board gaming culture. Speaking of which, Lorcana. Oh, maybe we should talk about that. Maybe we should talk about Lorcana more, huh?
There was also an update on the Lorcana lawsuit from Upper Deck, so maybe we should talk about Lorcana. You're right, Javion.
We don't need to do that.
Anybody else have any other examples that they want to talk about?
I think that the Marvel multiverse system it does a very good job of making players feel like they're in comic books. And more than that, whenever like when I have new players in that system, I tell them like try to get out of the thought process of being a player and try to get into the thought process of being a writer. You're advocating for this character. Marvel Multiverse doesn't really focus so much on, standing and banging heads until somebody hits 0 hit points. Rather, it instructs game masters to focus on the aspects of your players' characters that make them who they are. So, for example, if somebody were playing Spider-Man in my game, I'm not really trying to drop Spider-Man's hit points to 0. That's not how you win. The way that you win as a game master is you threaten the things that are important to Peter Parker. Like, so he's got, for example, character tags like obligation Aunt May. So you would want to put Aunt May in peril, or he's got the tag poor. So you would want to put him in financial situations that he has to find his way out of. I think that was a very clever way to emulate Marvel Comics and comics in general.
No, that sounds awesome. I had no idea that was the angle that they took at that. That makes it a lot more interesting than just knocking the hit points down. That
Yeah,
adds to the world.
I hate just you know drop somebody's hit points down to 0. Like the game was designed so combat usually only takes around 2 to 3 turns. And they're such wild power sets that I have only had one encounter that ended because hit points hit 0. Usually it's a really clever environmental scenario that stops combat or just being able to escape the guy that's way too strong for the heroes to fight. So
No, that's cool that you guys have like from such different views. That's why I like bringing it up, because there are games that, like, if you just took away the IP, make really, really great. I guess the other question is, what games really put you into capturing that feeling, the spirit of the original property that is best? Like, I like the best example that we've played here on TableTakes, which is Alien.
Oh yeah,
uh, that made you feel, yeah, like, hey, there's a xenomorph, or we don't know what a xenomorph is, but there's something that's going around murdering and killing us, and paranoia sets in, and other players kill other players because of it. But yeah, what games do you also feel like just kind of like really fit the IP?
Star Trek Adventures. Um, they they do a very good job in instructing the GM on how to build the foundation of a Star Trek plot. It's nobody's ever going to be as smart as like a Starfleet officer. And so they have really clever means of making players feel that smart because it kind of breaks down the truth of Star Trek, which is nobody cares about the solution. In Star Trek, they care about the relationships of everybody on the ship. And so they have a trait system where the GM starts each scene telling you what the trait is, like it's a dim light and low power. So whenever characters have a role in that scene, if they're looking for something, because the trait low light is there, it's going to make that harder. So they have to find a solution for the low light and the low power, and then things become easier. And that's just a really clever way of doing things.
Yeah, that's awesome. That also solves kind of one
But
of my problems.
oh, Marcus, you're muted.
Oh yeah, sorry. That solves one of. I was muted for you guys. I was not muted for the audience. I was muted for y'all.
Oh.
So there's too many microphones to juggle right now. No, I actually like that about the Star Trek game. I had very little interaction with it myself, but like when I was having to I don't actually know what these rules are. The game made it very easy to just be able to oh, you roll, figure that out. You don't feel like a fool in that game itself. Oh, this is really. I haven't had enough experience with this. Like I said, the only one I've actually played is Alien. I played a lot of Alien, and I agree with you, Bonsai. That's great.
Oh yeah, I've done, of course, I'm surprised Javion didn't come out with Doom Imperium too, because he has all the Dune stuff.
Since Javion has nothing to add and about Dune Imperium, then I guess we will move on. Anyone else have anything they want to drop here? Okay.
Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle is actually really fun, and people sleep on it a lot.
So
wait, which one?
This is good. So tell us about what this is. This is great.
Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle is a deck building game. They recolored it to be Toy Story recently,
What?
but it's straightforward and simple deck building. Buy cards from a area of cards, and you go through all the movies too. So you start off as like the young Hogwarts kids, and then they change the art and give you updated special cards as you go through all of the different movies and fight the villains from the first movie in the book and the second movie in the book and the third movie in the book. And it's just it's great. It's super fun. There's plenty of really good expansions for it. I highly recommend
it.
You
said that the OP, because it's an OP game, or the op game. So they have one for Toy Story as well. You said kind of a reskin almost.
Correct. And it follows the same formula. And it goes through all the movies and play all of the different characters that are the main characters. And you even get to see Neville evolve from movie one Neville to the final movie Neville.
That sounds like you could plug in a lot of different medias and do something like that, where you can kind of hey, here's the series of movies that you can actually cover, the series of stories. You can plug and play that a lot. So that, and to point of this discussion, having a good base game and being able to do that with multiple different IPs is kind of the key thing here. So that's awesome.
They did it well.
Yeah. Thank you, Javion. That's great. Bonsai, do you have anything in summation?
No, I just if you keep just making good games, and also please just start making board game movies and TV shows better. It'll be a nice circle in the community. It just keeps feeding each other. Just, if you can make good board games, writers, try to make good board game adaptations into film. That's all.
Well, there was
just monopolize everything,
No.
Well, I think there was I forget what the name of the movie is. I played the game recently, but there was a movie that came out a year or so ago, and it didn't do incredibly well, but I think people liked it a lot. It's the game based off the D&D movie. What was it called? Anyway, never mind. We're going to Crowdfunder Court. It's Crowdfunder Court time. It is time for Crowdfunder Court. We are going to Crowdfunder Court. Bye. We'll be back. Welcome to Crowdfunder Court. Here come the judges. Prepare to be judged. All rise. Court is now in session.
'Tis the season for more Crowdfunder Courts, and in theme for the spooky season, I chose Twisted Cryptic. So, a legendary strategic game about from the creators of Here to Slay and Casting Shadows. It's a 2 to 4 player game where you take the role of various legendary cryptids like Bigfoot, Jersey Devil, Mothman, and try to build your myth to become the most legendary cryptid of them all. At a very high level, the gameplay is very, at least to me, reminiscent of Spirit Island. So if you're a big fan of Spirit Island, maybe you want to check this game out. It starts with humans of different flavors, automatically spreading across the game's 6 region. The humans perform actions during each turn dedicated by event cards, and each player can then use the variety of special abilities to manipulate how many humans are in play and where they move or run away from. Each cryptid builds its myth in different ways. Either you can avoid certain humans. Human tokens are divided into hikers, researchers, hunters, and each interact with the cryptid in kind of certain ways. Being spotted by another kind of cryptid or another kind of human, or hidden at the end of game, or like basically certain humans you want to be scared or kind of eat, or just kind of like it gives you more hidden end game bonuses. In addition to like really, really cute, fun design, the game is just like it is just super, super cute. It comes with like all these really super cute figurines. It's also you can kind of see the artwork and notice that it's from the same designers that created Unstable Unicorns, Here to Slay, and Casting Shadow, sorry, words. And it's a very iconic art style. And this event or this Kickstarter ends Tuesday, October 22nd.
That is awesome, Bonza. Aside from the beautiful art on this, the little minis are cute as hell. I love the concept that like, yes, some people you want to eat, some people you want to see you, and some people you just do not want to be seen by. That's a fun way to do cryptids, I think, in a tabletop setting. Thank you, Bonsai, for bringing this to our attention. Next up, we have a new crowdfunder that we kind of touched base on before Javion mentioned this. Javion, would you like to go into a little bit more detail about this one?
Unmatched Adventures.
Yes.
You might have heard of Unmatched Battle of Legends, which is their flagship game from Restoration Games about grabbing all of these different kinds of characters you might find in mythology and putting them up against each other. At first, we had Little Red Riding Hood. We had Alice in Wonderland. We had Medusa, King Arthur, and Sinbad, all of these characters. And then slowly they branched into Marvel territory. They started creating their own, I wouldn't say internal lore, but they have created their own universe. And Unmatched Adventures is a way to bring all of those things together in a cooperative campaign or competitively. Unmatched Adventures has a new Kickstarter out called Unmatched Adventures Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's right. It's the same ones you remember from childhood. It's the cartoons that turned into movies that became cards and video games and all these arcade cabinets, and now they're putting it on Unmatched. They have all the same characters that you know and love, as well as their allies and a bunch of henchmen and villains that maybe you have heard of, maybe you haven't, unless you've gone into the deep comics of TMNT. You can use the normal TMNT characters and play through the adventure the normal way, but that's dumb. Why would you want to do that? Instead, grab all of your other Unmatched Battle of Legends characters and throw them into the mix. Why don't you? Again, you can play this cooperatively or competitively. You can grab all of the different maps that you typically use, or you can use some of theirs. You can play the normal way, or you can use the new rules that they have for the co-op campaign, which they've done before, actually. So add this to your giant collection of Unmatched Battle of Legends. Make sure you get all of the fun stretch goals that they've got with new alternative art and foil cards, as well as updated components and miniatures. And don't forget to grab, you guessed it, the big boxes to hold all of your Unmatched Battle of Legends characters with customizable colors. I hope you have hundreds of dollars if you're hoping to collect everything, because my God, ever since they started, they have been just adding and adding and adding IPs. Even Dice Tower decided that it was the best game of 2023, according to Z Garcia. So there you have it. Definitely check it out. You got plenty of time for this Kickstarter. It's already been fully backed because that's just what big companies like to do. They like to pretend their tiny little indie game is actually not a AAA title and get your money and hold their stretch goals hostage until you give them more. You've got 17 days. Go for it. Check out the link in Twitch chat.
I think the great thing about this is I can feel bubbling under the surface. I can feel a soapbox bubbling under the surface. But because of time,
next time.
Javion is going to hold this. So Unmatched, you are officially on warning, okay? Javion will be coming for you. The more you
I should
release
mention
these
I
games.
have like 5 boxes of Unmatched Battle.
lovingly.
Like
lovingly,
I've
of
got
course.
unmatched one myself. I was just looking around like, yeah, that is unmatched.
You're practically giving them away at this point.
So we have enough time for one more crowdfunder. Let me see who I'm going to pick. Who should go?
Ooh, ooh, ooh,
Ooh.
ooh, ooh, ooh,
Okay.
ooh, ooh, ooh.
Noir. Why don't you go?
Okay. I'm gonna go. I guess very much like this is the last this is the last crowdfunder. This is also the one last fight. That's right. My crowdfunder is One Last Fight, a roguelike card-based role-playing game. One Last Fight is a roguelike card-based role-playing game where 1 to 4 players journey to defeat their final nemesis or die trying. Players create their adventures, backstories together, and establish the story of their nemesis, and work together to overcome a gauntlet of challenges, both physical and personal, until they find themselves in their nemesis's lair. Nemesis. This game includes 6 formidable nemesis, 6 intrepid characters, rich gameplay and prompts, and premium components. And it's done by Hitpoint Press, the creators of Humblewood, animated spells, and so much more. So they have a reputable history to draw on. Currently, they're sitting at $128,565 on a goal of 10,000 with 1,697 backers and 26 days to go. So if you want to gather the friends together and jump that guy in the office that you all really hate that you made the group chat about, this is the game for you. You can finally get Craig, who keeps microwaving fish in the office. So check it out. I don't know if you can make your own nemesis, but if you can, I'm making Greg. He knows what he did.
I actually I think a good alternative of this game too is being able to add your own nemesis. Like you, it has great backstories and great nemesis, but being able to make your own would be really helpful for my personal anger management structure. This is awesome, Noir. Thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. The art looks great on this too. So this is a pretty easy pickup if you are interested in this exact kind of thing. Thank you. That is it for Crowdfunder Court. We have the glowing eyes happening here. This is great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is actually the end of Table Takes. We did it. We did it.
What?
We've done it. This has happened. So let's just wrap up the show. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us on Table Takes this week, but don't go far because we have Sarah's table. Sorry, correction. We have Scara's table as Sarah reads some classic Edgar Allan Poe and chats some Halloween traditions she enjoys with her family. Then, don't worry, we have a whole bunch of other shows during the week. So we have Mondays, Peter versus the Machine and Dress to Quest. Tuesdays, we have Vampire the Masquerade with Indie by Night. They're actually doing Hunter the Reckoning. Wednesdays, we have a miniature painting with Path of the Brush and Actoroki, and occasionally Table Takes plays where we play some games that look a little bit future in this month. We're gonna be playing some more. On Thursdays, we have Blood on the Clock Tower and Shadowrun with Roll with Rem Alternus. And then we are back here Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific for Table Takes and Sarah's Table. I want to thank all of my delightful hosts, Javion, Bonsai, Noir. I read that as if I actually had to read your guys' names like I haven't known you for years. I also want to big shout out to the Gen Con TV crew. That's Steve Conrad, Sarah Moore, Jin Slonikowski, and Tanel Lovett. Thank you, everyone, for watching us. Please make sure you follow and do not forget to watch Gen Con TV for more of the best 4 days in gaming all year long. See y'all. Have a great Friday.
Bye.
Sarah's Table.
Bye.
Bye.